Hi everybody, it's me Maria with Nail Nation on Facebook and Nail Nation 3000 here on YouTube. By request, I'm going to do a series of videos that depicts this winter wonderland holiday themed nail design. And also because there's a lot of detail involved in these nails, I'm going to do them for you on a larger tip because, as you can see, this is much larger than any of my nails. This way, those of you who are viewing on mobile or just really need to be able to see the image really clearly in order to copy it, I wanted to make it a little easier for everybody. So I'm going to show you right now everything that we used in the intro. And I'll make it really quick, but that way you don't have to reference the other videos to find the information. And then very quickly before each nail, I'll tell you what we used. You're going to need a series of brushes or painting tools. If you have one brush that you're able to kind of do everything with, then by all means I would, use that brush. But I like to use a series of brushes. So these are just natural Kolinsky hair brushes that I use with the polish. I recommend for everyone OPI brush cleaner if you have access to it. If not, whatever your favorite artificial nail and enhancement brush cleaner. And I also recommend that you get a large bottle and only keep a little bit in a small bottle because it gets kind of gross and you want to empty that out. For the red, that I used in the sleigh, I used Zoya and the name is Isla. Kind of like I'm Not Really a Waitress by OPI. It's a little bit brighter, but anything in this family is really good for that. My background on all 5 nails is Berry M CN Blue. You're going to need something in a royal metallic blue like this, this is Trippy Hippie by Color Club. My black, I just used Blackout by Extreme Wear by Sally Hansen and White On. And this is one of my favorites here. This is the new Sugar Plum Fairy by Color Club. So anything that's kind of in this type of glitter. And then, of course, with the snow highlighting, I used Lorelei's Tiara, which this is the new Eye Candy. And just some really true gold striping. This is for the striping. A dotting tool or a toothpick. Something with a fine end is preferred. A palette for your sponging and detail work. And for this sponging, I used this type of sponge. If you can see the texture, it's not the sponges you use for makeup. This is kind of like a really cheap kitchen sponge. And I used 3 plates for a couple of snowflakes and for a base on the candy cane. I used Conad M5 for these little guys here. I used Conad M12 just for the base of the candy cane here, and I added the white. And then I used Conad M59 for the large snowflake. So we're all done with that for the intro of what we're using. And if you're going to use a brighter red for your detail on your candy cane and for your snowman, I recommend Expressionist Red by Finger Paints. And just a little dollop of any kind of bright orange and yellow for your trees. Or any colors you want to use for your tree is fine. So we're going to do. Okay, so what we're going to do now, for those of you who are following, from video number 1, we did our sleigh nail. Now we're going to do our cute little snowman. And you need to do your sponging first, which will be your snow part. And you're going to take it from this area going upward, down, and then up again. So we're kind of making like winding hills. So you kind of want to bring it from whatever point is near where your other one left off from your thumbnail. So what I did was kind of created a little hole there for him. And again, keep the stippling there. It's really good for the effect. And then you take a little bit of your blue again, like we did before. And then back over it again with white. And it's better, guys, to not put too much polish on your palette. It gets really gummy and dries up and can cause a lot of mistakes. So it's better to use thin amounts and go back to it. So we've done this part. Now there is a little trick to this one. What I did here was I put a little bit of a shine behind the snowman, and I used a very thin coat of Sugar Plum Fairy, which you can use any thinner glitter polish. Don't put it on where it is like crazy heavily glittered, or it's going to be really difficult to polish over, as well as it's not going to show your background. So you just kind of, you know, smudge a little over it. If you find that you've done it a little too thick, you can take a small amount of remover on a sponge and you can kind of, you know, pull it away. But we just put a little bit in the background there so that it looks like, you know, snowflakes glistening in the light. And I'm going to put a lot of white here because I'm doing this in a much larger way. So we're going to make our snowman, and it's, if any of you have done acrylic or actually learned acrylic, you might be familiar with the 3-ball method. It's kind of the same idea. You're going to take a larger brush or your, whatever your favorite polish brush is. You're going to kind of coat it in the white, but then you want to kind of squeeze some of it out. But you want that brush to be nice and full because you're going to need to pull the polish around. So you're going to take a ball of polish like this, and here at the base you're going to create a dot just like that. And of course this will be much smaller on your regular fingernail, but you just take the brush and kind of pull it around into a circle until it looks as round as you can get it without messing up your entire, you know, design. You don't have to go, you know, too crazy with it. The good news is when it's small, even when it's not perfect, people don't really notice it so much. This is our first ball. And then you're going to do the same thing, only smaller, just above it. Leave a little space there so that when you're dragging, you're not running right into the other ball. And it can have a little bit of a oblong shape if that's necessary to fit on your nail, or you can make it much smaller. And then you're going to do a third one, and it's going to be much smaller than that first one. And it's going to look something like this. And it doesn't, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And when you start doing details, you'll find that you kind of correct some of your little spots that may not look so good to you when you're first doing them. And you can always go back in as it begins to set and pull his body around a little more, just to give it that effect. And it, again, if a little blue shows through, that's okay too. So now we have the body of our little snowman right here. So what you're going to do then, after you have done this part of it, is you're going to take a small amount of black, and you want to let this set just a little bit so that you don't smudge it and you don't have too many layers. But you'll take a dotting tool and you'll use the black, and I want you to start at the bottom. And I want you to put 3 dots on each of the first 2 balls. Now, you want to make them get just a touch smaller as you go up so that you have room there on your snowman and that everything shows. You're then going to create up closer to the top of his head 2 dots. That's going to be his eyes. I want you to do his eyes first so that you know how much room you have to put his mouth on there. If you don't have a lot of room on your nail, then you can still adjust. You're just going to create with 4 little dots, or you may use 3 for those of you who have much smaller nails, to create that little smiley face there. And then I just used this Sun-Kissed Orange by Sally Hansen. It's nothing special, just any kind of bright orange. Take a tiny little amount of that, and you're going to take a brush that has a point on it or that you're comfortable pulling it forward with. And what you want to do is, the reason I like using these angle brushes is because you can take it, dip it in the orange, and then you just put a little dollop on there and pull it forward, and it will create that cone shape kind of easy. And you can always just go back over it after you pull it. If too much goes through with the brush and blue shows or any of that, really all you got to do is go back over it, and it's orange. And it doesn't really take a whole lot of effort for that. It's pretty simple. And I just took a little red here, and I'm just going to create the scarf. And the scarf really is only 3 lines. And you just coat your brush. You draw a line below his chin, kind of at an angle, like this. And then you take another line and you make it sort of wisp towards you, and then another one that kind of wisps away. Super simple. And now he has a scarf. You could take your same black that you were using for dotting if it has not already gotten chewy. This is another reason you want to, not put too much on your palette. Or you can take a striping brush, whatever you're the most comfortable with, and then you're going to create the arms. And these really can be quite imperfect. They don't have to look super fancy or really detailed, because they're supposed to look kind of like branches that you've just picked up out of the yard and given him arms with. And I'm going to show you here kind of how that looks. It's just, as an example, this would be an example of what you could do there. Just something quite simple. Nothing exciting about the arms. Now we're going to create the top hat. And you really only have 2 more details left to go, and you'll be finished. So again, you want to take a brush that you're comfortable with, and you can do this with a striping brush too. Just be a little bit more careful. You're going to draw a line across the top of his head without getting too close to his eyes. Just like that. And then depending on how much space you have, you're going to just create that little top hat. And it does not need to be a ton of top hat. That's not necessary. You're just kind of creating the look. It doesn't need to be perfect. And I took a little small amount of It's a Drag, which is the same basically as Radiance by DS and City Girl by Sally Hansen Extreme. And I just took a brush and made 2 final details. I drew a line across the top hat right here. And then I took a small amount, what was left on my brush, and just stroked it down the sides of my snowman to kind of give this effect. And that's all I did there. It's super, super simple. And we'll just coat it with 2 coats of top coat. So now we have our sleigh and our snowman. And on the next video, we're going to move forward to our Christmas tree.